Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona, the big one is out. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Midwest Sim Racing Association's Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals. Tonight, we're at the virtual Daytona International Speedway, getting ready to get things started for our drivers. As right now, qualifying come to a close. Looks like it's going to be Ken MacArthur in the top spot with a 49.74. Thank you all so much for tuning. As always, my name's James E. Bringing the action, Sandy P. 60 frames a second. As it is time to make our way out onto the grid, ladies and gentlemen. Waiting for the drivers to hop down there. Looks like a pretty healthy field. 25 drivers making their way out tonight. And let's run it through and see who we're going to have. We've got Ken MacArthur starting on pole. Robert Anderson starting second. Matt White third on the grid. Matt Knight starting fourth in the number 25. Billy Fitzgerald starting fifth. Barry Stevens starting sixth. David Centini starting seventh. Julio Villalobos starting eighth. Matthew Dyer starts ninth. Robert Cook, 10th on the grid. Mike Howerton starting 11th. Evan Longacre will be 12th on the grid. We cycle it back and see Scott Stevens starting 13th. Bobby Harmon starting 14th. Kenny Meadows, 15th on the grid. Jesus Andrade starting 16th. Colby Baber starting 17th. Timothy Davis starts 18th. Robert Norfleet starts 19th. Braxton DeWeese starting 20th. Brent Wall starting 21st. Kyle Mullering starting 22nd. John Binder starts 23rd. Richard Clement Sr. starting 24th on the grid. And then Chris Hansen will round out the 25 car grid here today. Let's see what's going to happen as these drivers get ready to do battle here at the high banks of Daytona. Going to be interesting to see. Season openers at Super Speedways, all sorts of exciting. This is where drivers kind of have a little bit of pre-race jitter, start coming out early and pushing hard. And sometimes it's an opportunity for drivers to get themselves used to each other. As we wait for the last remaining drivers to make their way out onto pit road. And again, we'd like to thank our friends over at Rapid Fire Pizza for coming on board as the title sponsor for this Midwest Sim Racing Association. Couldn't do it without those guys. If you're looking for some great pizza at a great price, check them out, especially the Indiana location, some of the best in the business. Tell them James sent you. As we are getting ready to do battle, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Anderson, Ken MacArthur on the front row. These Xfinity cars, a lot of fun to drive around the high banks of Daytona. You can really push hard and do a good bit of bump drafting with your friends and competitors. As we wait for that iRacing pacing sedan to make its way down pit road. And here we go, getting the party started. The green flag flies at Daytona. Anderson MacArthur still side by side. The Australian Matt Knight sits in third, the number 25 machine. Now this is not the perfect size of grid you would want to see the super speedway, as I believe that was the 25 of Knight. That may have had a massive blink. No, that may have been Billy Fitzgerald, I believe, at the moment, the number 22 Chevrolet driver. But 27 to 30 car grid is just about where you want to be on super speedways, especially for a season opener. As you see Matt White going down the inside apron, not sure if he got bumped out of the way there or what the issue may have been. As up front, Ken MacArthur leading the outside line, Robert Anderson the inside line. It's a long format race for these drivers, so no big hurry to try and make dangerous moves early on. It's going to be a game of patience for these guys to make their fuel window and come down pit road safe and soundly. Now, from my understanding, the guys are racing open setups here tonight at Daytona, so everybody in charge of their own setup as well as their strategy. And that could be a little bit different as well. So some drivers are going to be more comfortable running out front with a little bit more tape on the grill of those machines. Some drivers knowing they're going to play the short run game and wanting to sit behind and fuel save, the long run game, sit behind and fuel save as long as they can. So it's going to be interesting to see how setups come into play as well here tonight. As so far, the driver's doing a great job just clicking off laps. Robert Anderson shows the lead on that inside line. He's accompanied by Ken MacArthur as well. Well, I believe that may be Matt Knight on the high line. Yes, it is. He's getting his momentum going. Now this is the 4th season of the Midwest Sim Racing Association's National Series. We've got former champions Evan Longacre. Logan Helton brought it home in 2020. He's no longer racing. Kenny Meadows also out on track tonight as well, trying to get things started strong in this season. Anderson still holds on the lead. Matt Knight not quite able to get the outside line formed up like he wants to. He's got the number 51 of Mike Howerton in tow. But it looks like they've got another driver starting to catch up to him slightly on that outside line. Going to be interesting to see if that really gets momentum or not. As Anderson and Knight still side by side in the front row of the outside line, has accompaniment by Braxton Ruiz. He's going to get some momentum going as well. Now going from memory, I want to say it's about 30 laps on a tank of fuel on these Xfinity machines. As we got them pretty fairly squared away, too wide, about 6-7 rows deep at this point, only 6 laps in the main event. But so far everybody doing a good job keeping it clean and taking it easy. Oh, there's a big blink by, was that MacArthur on the outside line? No, it was no, that was 51 Mike Howerton with a big moment. Still side by side, nobody having any issues so far. The number 51 of Howerton is tucked in close behind the Australian Matt Knight. Ooh, giving a hearty shove to the number 25 machine. It looks like the 55 of Scott Stevens in that Chevrolet, not in a massive rush to get up there and run nose to tail. Opting to play it a little bit safer here. But that's the good thing about longer format races. With 120 laps, this should go just shy of 2 hours long, barring any cautions. It gives these drivers an opportunity to get into the groove, maybe take it easy, relax a little bit, and focus on getting to the end of the show. You can't win it if you're involved in some of the opening incidents. Still very impressed with the racing we're seeing. If this is a public or official lobby, you see a lot more carnage early on in the night. Now, Matt Knight still holding now. He's taking over the inside line. Are we going to see Mike Howerton move up on that outside groove as well and drop down the inside line as they're playing a 200-mile-an-hour game of leapfrog here, ladies and gentlemen. Watching bated breath to see if Howerton's going to be able to make his way around and get a big push by Scott Stevens, work that number 51 machine, that Ford Mustang, down to the inside line, or if he's going to be content running the high line for a while. As Knight has a pretty good run on the inside line. He's accompanied by the number 47 of Robert Anderson. Still side by side. What a stacked field here at Daytona. A lot of these drivers extremely familiar to racing and winning on the iRacing service. As all of the, most if not all of the oval races, the big oval races this week on iRacing were at Daytona, so drivers had the opportunity to get their setups dialed in, getting ready for tonight's main event, and see what the winning strategy may be. Now, these races here at the Midwest Sim Racing Association's Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals, a little bit longer format. As what's this? Pit cycles continuing, it looks like. Or starting, as it showed several drivers coming down pit road. Matt White's down in pit road. Kenny Meadows in pit road. Not sure what's happening there. Possibly different pit strategies. Try and pan the camera to Matt White. Not having any business of it. For some reason, it doesn't look like it's recording anybody on pit road. We're just going to have to call it the old-fashioned way. As we have our first green flag stops of the night, Matt White in and out in 7.27 seconds. He's taking fuel, which is a little bit interesting. And up front, it's still the Howerton and Knight show side by side. As you can definitely tell, the outside line doesn't have the support. Only 5 cars as one driver starts to blink fairly bad here. The inside line running 7-8 drivers nose to tail. Chris Hansen shows us coming down pit road, number 20 Toyota. As we pull up our live timing software on the left side of your screen, try and get that refreshed for you. But so far, these drivers doing a great job just keeping it easy, not having too many worries or problems out here today. Ooh, Howerton has a blink up front, and the number 51 machine. That will slow down the draw just quite so to Matt Knight. That's the last thing you want at 200 miles an hour, ladies and gentlemen, is the driver in front of you to disappear and then pop right back out. You won't be able to predict where they're going to come out on track at. Howerton and Knight still side by side. You've got Scott Stevens, Robert Anderson, Matthew Dyer rounding out the top 5 here. And so far, the drivers fairly well behaved on the high banks of Daytona. They're all coming out trying to get some points. You can see the teammates, the number 25 of Matt Knight and Robert Anderson running nose to tail on the inside line, both with Thin Line Racing. As the Daytona Boeing 747 takes an aggressive landing just outside the racetrack here. Something for our fans to enjoy as well as the good racing. Still side by side, running in deep. We've got a short little break back to about 14th. That's Barry Stevens. He's just ahead of Davidson, Tinney, Evan Longacre, John Binder, Kyle Mullering, all in this pack as well. I believe what you're seeing here from about 14 to 18 is these drivers kind of taking it easy, watching the fray in front of them and just seeing what's going to happen. That's a strategy we've seen quite often before, where drivers don't want to get tied up in any early race shenanigans and want to get home with a clean race car by the time it is all said and done. The outside line has really lost a lot of drivers here. Now only 3 drivers in that pack. It's led by the showing, I believe, the 75. I believe somebody might have the wrong transponder here. Yeah, Matthew Dyer shows as the number 2 on live timing, but the car has 75 paint on, so maybe running the wrong transponder here tonight. And he's linked up with Braxton DeWeese in the number 8 machine, trying to get a big run here. And it looks like the 45 of Julio Villalobos, he hops down the inside groove as well, leaving it as a 2-car freight train on the outside line. Now this is going to be tough for Dyer and DeWeese. If they can't get down the inside line, they will lose a whole lot of time. Look at DeWeese, maybe take a look here. Does he drop down low? He does not. Staying linked up with Dyer. Dyer hops down, DeWeese follows in, and looks like we're going to go single file here from most of the racetrack, if not all of our racers. As no, it looks like the pit cycle is going to open up here. Matthew Dyer comes screeching down pit road. And it looks like the broadcast software or the iRace is not rendering the cars on pit road. So we will unfortunately miss the action on pit road for this opening event. As now it is Howerton, Stevens, Villalobos, DeWeese, and MacArthur, your top 5. So this will be interesting. Different strategies coming into play here tonight as far as what's going to happen on pit road. And now here comes the leaders making their way around, the drivers exiting pit road. So you're going to have a whole bunch of guys going a lap down here. Now it's Howerton. He's going to be leading the trains. Looks like most of the field. Ooh, Howerton with a big blink as well, and that number 51 Ford. Let's see how long he opts to stay out for. As this is going to definitely be a strategy race. Some drivers coming in earlier on that lap 22 mark. Some drivers going to stretch it out until those tanks are as empty as they can possibly be to still safely get down pit road. I believe that problem we're having with the pit road rendering may be affecting the live timing software as well. Looks like a few drivers about a lap down here, while first through 17 still on the lead lap after they've tried to extend their fuel window. Howerton still in a dangerous spot with those blinks. If I was Scott Stevens, I'd be a little bit nervous here. We're going to go on board with Stevens. You see him looking towards that apron, not knowing where Howerton's going to rear appear at in the area 51, back 51 Ford Mustang. I was on board with Scott Stevens. He's running second overall, second in line in that inside line behind Howerton. But look at this. Here comes Braxton DeWeese, the number 8 machine, with a massive run on the high line. He's accompanied by, I believe that's going to be Dyer, who's a lap down, trying to get his lap back here. Yes, that's confirmation. That's Dyer, the 75 machine. But we're going to go 3 wide with traffic. Hold on to it, boys. It looks like everybody gets through nice and easy there. That's an exciting moment to be in when your traffic is the leaders coming by 25 to 30 miles an hour faster. And Deweese has a comfortable gap as, yes, he's going to drop down in front of Howerton, leaving Dyer to try and get his lap back the hard way. And it doesn't look like Howerton's going to settle for second as he goes back to the outside line, throws a block on Dyer. He wants to take over that race lead once more from Braxton Deweese. Ooh, things are getting a little bit heated. These guys are really wanting to stay up in the front. Nobody really trying to yield anything quite yet. I'm curious to see just how long the patience will last out of these drivers. Dyer slots in second in the line despite being a lap down. He really wants to get back on the lead lap. Oh, here we go. Who was all tied up in that one? Looks like Anderson may be involved in that one. As we're going to take a quick look back and see what just happened there. We're watching Anderson, the number 47 machine, to see who gets tied up with. It's going to happen just ahead of them. They start bumping and grinding around, and the number 22 gets caught. Anderson locks up the brakes to avoid any ARCA braking shenanigans. Looks like he still gets tagged from behind by the number 81 machine, or possibly 84 of Kyle Mulring, but hate to see that for Anderson. He was doing the right thing, checking up, but still will be, unfortunately, going back to pit road with a little bit of damage here. As we get back to the action, it's David Centini, Barry Stevens on the front row. No, is that going to be Evan Longacre? No, it's going to be Stevens on the front row. Longacre will be accompanied by John Binder, the second row. Kenny Meadows and Jesus Andrade will be the third row. And here we go. Immediately, Stevens hops down the inside line just ahead of Longacre in the number 95 machine. Now, from my understanding, it's been a long time since Longacre's been able to bring home a win here. But we got confirmation. He hasn't won the last 2 years, so winless in 2020 and 2021. But he had 7 second places over the race season. So Longacre knows what it takes to run up front, just still looking for that first win. Maybe 2022 will be his year here, ladies and gentlemen. Barry Stevens dropping way down the standings. He now shows in 9th after what I believe was a botched restart. As yes, Stevens is going to have some sort of penalty to serve here. I'm wondering if he didn't hold his line across the start-finish line. That is a very common penalty you'll see get picked up here at the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series. What that means is if drivers start on the high line, they are not allowed to drop down low until they pass the start-finish line here at Daytona. So expect to see that get several drivers. As up front, it's Santini, but now it's Binder on the high line. And the number 33 Chevrolet, the bright red machine. He's got accompaniment by Colby Baber. You know what they say as well, cautions breed cautions. You start to get the field stacked back up. Drivers on differing strategies will be mixed, intertwined with each other. Looks like still 20 drivers on the lead lap out of the 25 that started here tonight. I believe Barry Stevens may be out of this race. Looks like Billy Fitzgerald, Braxton Louise, and Robert Anderson are all out as well. It will be time for John Binder to lead some laps here at Daytona and ahead of the massive field. Still a long way to go for these drivers. As now Baber on the outside line has a massive run in his Toyota Camry. He's getting pushed by Timothy Davis in the Irwin Back 92 machine. Well, that outside line getting a little bit unsettled there with an aggressive bump drafting around the banks of Daytona. If you don't line those pushes up just perfectly right, it's a good way to send your friend out into the wall. And the landscape up front changing ever so quickly. Now it's Timothy Davis on the inside line as he gets a hearty shove from behind. And Ken MacArthur is going to have a big run on the outside line, 97 machine. We're only 38 laps in and these drivers are pushing hard, making some moves. As up front, MacArthur looks like he was having a tough go, figuring out what lane he wanted to drop into in that 97 Chevrolet. As here comes Howardson in the Ford Mustang on the outside line with a massive run, accompanied by Andrade as well as Norfleet in the 56 machine. Howerton goes down the inside line, but that outside line, now led by Andrade, still has massive momentum. As you can tell, the sun is starting to set ever so slightly here in Daytona. As now, I think that's lap traffic. We're trying to figure out who the 98 is. Some of these drivers not with the right transponder. I believe it's, yeah, that's going to be Norfleet showing as the 56 on live timing. The 98, I believe, and right as we pan the camera to him, he's got a massive blink. Where did Norfleet go? Some sort of incident as several drivers come down pit road. Not sure if that was planned or not. John Binder, Evan Longacre, David Santini all down pit road. In and out very quickly, about 6 seconds per stop here as they take fuel. Howerton and Andrade up front, side by side. No, Andrade's on the inner line. That's Sam Dyer on the outside line, still trying to unlap himself. Ooh, but here we go, 3 wide once more as the field cuts around traffic like a scalpel. Howerton in arguably the safest spot on the raceway here, up front on that inside line, clean track ahead of him. Now Howerton, we believe last time he came in was on lap 31 where he took 4 fresh Goodyears, a full tank of gas. So he's going to be good to sort that thing out and keep it running to about lap 60. But Andrade is going to stay linked up to him in that number 7 Chevrolet sponsored by Lowe's and Cobalt, excuse me. Now we saw the field break down into single file in the opening runs here. Are we going to see the same? No is your answer. As Andrade gets a push from Norfleet on the high line. Not quite linked up bumper to bumper through turns 1 and 2. And now Norfleet's going to go down the inside line as well as Andrade. They'll take over first and second from Mike Howerton. Howerton says, all right, it's my turn. I'll go to the high side, see if I can get a push from Dyer. Now Dyer actually has worked his way back in the lead lap in that 75 machine. But it seems like every time he's got a good run that outside line, everybody leaves him out to dry. As now it stands Andrade, Norfleet, Howerton, Dyer, MacArthur, your top 5. Andrade leading the field on the inside line. Howerton on the outside line trying to get a massive run accompanied by Matthew Dyer. Looks like they may have it here through the trial. Well, are they going to get clear into turn 1? I don't think so. I think they're going to have to wait to the backstretch to try and make that move. But Howerton almost gets clear coming through 1 and 2. They'll try and re-rack it here and get that drive once more. Looks like that inside line just a little bit slightly more formed up, nose to tail. Able to cut through air a little bit faster as Dyer tries to stay right on the back bumper of Howerton. But what could also be happening here is drivers running different amounts of tape in these open setups. Maybe trying to get some cool air on the front of those machines, get the temps back down so they can get back to pushing. When you run nose to tail at 200 miles an hour, lap after lap after lap, you can really build up some engine temps. You've only got so much of that gauge you can play with before the magic smoke comes out of these Xfinity cars. Howerton has to run the outside line. Dyer still trying to get air on the front of that 75 machine as they are trying to make their way around. Andrade, number 7, still guarding that inside line with Robert Norfleet just in tow in the bright red Ford Mustang. Right now, though, it's Chevrolet in the very first spot with the Jesus Andrade, and then a field of Fords inside the top 5. Current fastest Toyota is going to be Colby Baber. He just took over the 5th place spot in his number 10 Toyota Camry. He's battling side by side with Timothy Davis in the 92 Ford Mustang. Davis on the inside, Colby on the outside. Howerton still staying with the outside line. A little surprised to not see him drop down. I'm wondering if he's working with Dyer here to maybe have some sort of strategy. But the way Dyer keeps peeking out, I don't think he's set up for long-term pushing. I think he's trying to get that air on the front of the car. You can see him about a half car length out to the side of Howerton. Not the fastest way to get around the track, but also prevents you from putting too much heat in that 75 machine. As now lap traffic will once again come into play here. What's going to happen is your race leader still side by side with Howerton on the outside line. Looks like lap traffic goes low. The rest of the field goes high to avoid. And thankful we got through that one nice and clean here. Howerton, the outside line, only lost about a couple of car lengths to your race leader. And here we go. Howerton gets tagged. Dyer got into somebody there. And that will bring out yet another caution with, I believe, Norfleet showing as your race leader. Villalobos also involved in that one. Oh, hate to see that for Howerton. Just nowhere to go. As we're going to try and get you an instant replay on that one. We check out our instant replay. Keep an eye on Sam Dyer, the number 75 machine. I believe he gets just the slightest amount of contact between himself and Timothy Davis in the 92 machine. Wait for them to come around turn 4. Yeah, just a little bit of contact. Howerton gets pinball to the inside line. Davis with nowhere to go. And then Villalobos is going to get tied up in this somehow as well. The number 45 machine, waiting to see where that's going to be at. There he goes, careening around. So Villalobos also a victim in that. So it looks like it's Cook, Villalobos, Howerton, and White all coming down pit road for another big crash here tonight. Oh, a narrow save there from traffic. Well done to Villalobos for locking up the brakes and avoiding any heartbreak himself. As we get him racked back up, double wide, and as far back as the eye can see for this next restart. Everybody came down pit road, it looked like on lap 51 to 52 during that yellow flag sequence. And it will be Robert Norfleet and Andrade on the front row, MacArthur and Harmon your second row, Baber and Clement Sr. will be the third row here. Here they go once more at Daytona. Norfleet out front of the inside line. Andrade right behind him. Looks like MacArthur's going to go to the high line and try and get things formed up there. Now looks like drivers getting a little bit less patient as this run progresses. We're starting to see some bigger moves and maybe not so much lack of or too much aggression, but more so of drivers maybe feeling attrition here. The longer the race goes on, the more likely it is to make a mistake. And at 200 miles an hour, those mistakes don't take long to really rear their head, and things can go real bad for you. Battling hard up front as well. MacArthur trying to get that outside line and working against Norfleet. Norfleet up 18 positions from where he qualified here today. Had a bad showing in qualifying, but able to put things together in that 98 machine to keep this party rolling forward. Now it's Norfleet, Andrade, MacArthur, Harmon, Clement, your top five. Expecting the fuel window to open up just around lap 80 of tonight's main event. Barring any more cautions and throw a wrench into things. Still have about 19 drivers on the lead lap and about 21 drivers still running here today. We are on board with Bobby Harmon, the number 73 machine. He is rocking and rolling himself. He's up 10 positions so far tonight. And trying to make that outside line work well for him. Looks like it's going well. We've had a lot of drivers show their patience, not wanting to get in the mix too early on to get tied up in one of those early race incidents, because it's still early as we get ready to approach the halfway mark of today's main event. As some of these machines getting a little bit of bodywork damage over the duration of their runs. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects their long run speed. And man, that is tight draft racing here, ladies and gentlemen. The cross to green and white flags will be thrown this time by, signifying the halfway mark of today's race. And look at the run by the inside line there. They pulled about 2 car lengths over MacArthur. Will MacArthur answer here? Not quite. Not sure where Norfleet found all that speed on the inside line, but we officially crossed the halfway mark in today's main event. Now, we've had a lot of the normal names and faces up here in this, the top 5. Timothy Davis, he's going side by side with Colby Baber in the battle for 6th. As it looks like MacArthur, not sure if he's trying to hop out of the groove and maybe let the 73 of Bobby Harmon take over the spot, or if Harmon's trying to get some air on the nose of his Chevrolet as well. We keep talking about these engines overheating. Just a little bit too much tape is all it takes to pop a motor when you're running nose to tail over the duration of a 120-lap main event. As look at this, Howerton still able to stay with that number 51 machine despite that early race incident. You can notice, I believe that's the hood of that machine, just a little bit crumpled up from damage, but it looks like if he can stay in the draft, he's still going to be pretty potent here in that 51 machine. As now look at the 73 machine, Bobby Harmon, he's going to hop down the inside line. Not happy with the pace that MacArthur is carrying that 97 machine. As up front, it's still Norfleet with Andrade right in tow. As we're still watching Harmon the 73 machine, he's kind of right in the thick of it here. Doesn't look like the High Line quite knows what they're going to do or where they're going to do it at. As that is, I'm trying to see who it is second in line on that high side. That may be Clement Sr. No, Clement's on the inside line. It's the 10 of Colby Baber trying to push Ken MacArthur up towards the front. MacArthur in the number 97 machine. As it looks like MacArthur just not having the speed out front in that mellow yellow back Chevrolet to catch back up. I'm wondering if he's going to try and get down the inside line as Baber trying anxiously to get around. Baber's going to take it 3 wide, saying, all right, if we can't get this line formed up, I'm going to try and make something happen on my own accord. But it looks like Howerton, the 51 machine, is going to squeeze past Baber. And Baber's move will be for naught as he drops down the standings. A good effort, but unfortunately just not able to make it happen out here at this stage of the race. And what's worse, he may have lost the draft of Howerton just ahead of him. Baber plays it safe, hop down the inside line to pick up the air bubble again once more from Matthew Dyer. As things still pretty heated out front. Harmon and that was going to be MacArthur briefly go side by side in the battle for 4th as Norfleet, Andrade, Clement have pulled a couple of car lengths ahead on the inside line. But with how potent the draft is here at Daytona, it's not going to be for long before the rest of the field is able to catch back up to him. Kind of accordion the field back together. But still a lot of racing left to go. 53 laps left in this opening round of the 2022 Midwest Sim Racing Association's Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals. Gotta say, my first time calling one of these events, I'm very impressed with the ability and skills of the drivers. Most of the field, 1st through 6th, single file. You have to go back to 6th place, Ken MacArthur and Matt Knight, who are side by side. Knight's on the inside line in his Toyota. MacArthur still on the high line, committed to it in the 97 machine. Up front, it looks like Andrade still content falling around Norfleet. As we get ready to change the ticker to 70 laps completed in the opening round. Current hard charger, definitely Richard Clement Sr. He is up 21 positions from his qualifying tonight, now sitting 3rd proudly in the number 52 machine with Thin Line Racing. Having a great run here, playing it safe early on, not making any risky moves and risking damage in that race machine. And hopefully we can see Clement bring it home here on the end. As now it looked like the outside line may have had, yes, Bobby Harmon's going to join the fray. As he goes side by side with Clement, the run stalls out though, as he does not have Kim McCarthy pressed up to his back bumper that he needs to get that outside line working. So going to be interesting to see what Clement Sr. does here. That inside line just absolutely moving out here today. Here comes Harmon once more, trying to get some run going on the outside line, but that outside line does not stay linked up nose to tail. Now he could try and rely on the side draft, get a little bit closer to that inside line, but that's a dangerous move still with a large portion of the race still left to go. It just takes that little bit of swerve from the inside line or somebody tagging the apron by accident to throw the car wide, and it can throw away a race, but it looks like Harmon has some momentum here with the outside line. As Harmon briefly shows in third place over Richard Clement, but Clement still has the momentum. And now what's the field going to do is they're too wide, about 4 rows deep, and they've got traffic contend with that's too wide in front of them. Oh, this is going to get risky. Traffic breaks it down into single file formation, thankfully, as we go 3 wide once more, and then your race leader with a massive blink. Where did he go? Norfleet has disappeared, and now it's Andrade as your race leader. Richard Clement takes over second. Timothy Davis has inherited third. It looks like Norfleet has disconnected here. The top 5 getting shaken up at Andrade, Clement, Davis, Dyer, Harmon. As what is this? Norfleet reappears. And the longest hiccup I think I've ever seen in iRacing. He was gone for almost an entire lap. Shows right back up in front of Andrade. Extremely thankful that didn't turn into a massive incident here. As we've got some more blinking, that time it was Matthew Dyer in the Ford. And Jesus Andrade, the lone Chevrolet up front inside the top 5. He runs second in the number 7 machine. Now, not good seeing those big blinks. It's the last thing these drivers want as they get ready for the fuel window to open. Again, we're expecting these drivers to come down pit road on a lap 80 is the rough estimate to see them dive down. That will still show them about 10 laps short on fuel, I believe, though. To make it to the end of this 120-lap feature event. The Norfleet came in on lap 52, as well as Andrade. Clement, Davis also came in on lap 51, so it's going to be interesting to see how the pit strategy cycles out. Now, I'd imagine these top 5 drivers are going to try and come down pit road together, as they've been working so well, clawing their way back up towards the front, able to maintain that track position, which can be very crucial in these super speedway events. Now, this is one of my favorite parts about calling great racing, to see what the pit strategies are going to be out of these drivers. And this is going to be very important. Bobby Harmon takes over the high line. He's accompanied by Colby Baber. And we might see a big run formed up here out of the 73 machine. Harmon takes over the lead ahead of Norfleet. Baber's going to try and do the same. Billy Fitzgerald initiates his green flag stop coming down pit road on lap 79. But let's see, can the number 10 machine of Baber drop down low? He's got a little bit of help on that high line as well. But Harmon looking good on the inside line ahead of Norfleet. So now it may be Harmon that initiates the pit stops for these drivers. Now Baber on the high line, he can lap 70 or 52, excuse me, so he should be able to go an extra lap if he needs to, depending on what this pit sequence does. It looks like everybody's going to stay out here. So fuel windows will officially be open this time by for your race leaders. And then it's anybody's guess what's going to happen the next 2 to 3 laps, as now Harmon takes over the race lead in the inside line. Oh, and not for long, as the number 78 machine causes a big incident. Oh, and it's going to be a big one, ladies and gentlemen. Looked like, oh my goodness, that was Barry Stevens involved in that one. And let's see who else is involved. Looks like everybody. Richard Clement Sr., Barry Stevens, Timothy Davis, David Centeni, John Binder, Evan Longacre, all in that one. Let's try and get you a quick replay and see where things went wrong. We're watching here. Stevens in the 78 machine tries to unlap himself back, maybe a little bit of net code. And then things are going to go from bad to worse for a large portion of the file. Look at poor Jesus Andrade. He's heavily involved in it as well. And the field goes scattering around. Just absolute heartbreak. I want to say that was a little bit of net code that we saw there with Stevens with that initial contact. But tough to call. And truthfully, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. As these drivers, once they have their body work, doesn't matter how they got it. They've still got it. Thankfully, Bobby Harmon was able to survive that in the number 73 machine, as we try and get them re-racked again for what could be our final restart of the evening. We get them racked up for what could be the final time tonight at Daytona. The Midwest Sim Racing Association's Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals is putting on a show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Less than 40 laps left to go in this feature event. And it's Bobby Harmon and Ken MacArthur on the front rows. The iRacing pacing car makes its way down. And the green flag flies, away they go. Colby Baber linked up on the inside line as Ken MacArthur tries to get things going in the 97 machine on the high line. Everybody had the opportunity to pit on that lap 81 cycle, so it looks like we're still going to have 17 drivers on the lead lap and about 21 drivers still out here running for position. Harmon on the inside line. Here comes McCarthy on the outside line. He had the support of Matt White in the 48 machine, but White fell back rather quickly. He's going to tuck in behind Mike Howerton's number 51 machine. As now, let's see, does Colby Baber try and go to the high line to get around Harmon? Is he going to be happy linked up here? Looks like Baber's going to go to the high line. MacArthur's been what seems to be a great pusher on that line, just not having the momentum on the high side to lead it himself. Oh, Harmon with a big blink. Now let's see what Baber can do with the number 10 machine. Howerton takes over second. He's on the inside line. About 4 drivers on the inside, 2 on the outside. That's Colby Baber and Ken MacArthur linked up trying to make it happen, as here comes Robert Norfleet again trying to crawl his way back up towards the front after some early misfortune tonight. Looks like MacArthur's going to go down the inside line as well, leaving Baber to his own accord in that number 10 machine. Now these drivers have about a comfortable half-second advantage to Matt White in the number 48 machine. White is accompanied by Kenny Meadows and Brent Wall as they try and get in formation to maybe catch back up to that lead pack. Still looks like they gained about 2/10 here, so starting to catch the back draft of Baber's Toyota Camry. But the last thing they're going to want to do back here is try and get out of the groove. They want to get back together so they can have a chance of running it here at the end as they blitz around lap traffic. That's the 78 of Barry Stevens. As it looks like the field's starting to get caught back up here. This is 1st through 9th on your screen right now. And then it's about a 3-second gap back to Centeni and Longacre running nose to tail. Centeni in the 79, Longacre in the 95. We've also got Kyle Mullring, John Binder here in the mix. Let's go back to the lead pack, where it's still Bobby Harmon leading the charge up 13 positions. Mike Howerton running 2nd, Matthew Dyer 3rd, Robert Norfleet 4th, and Ken MacArthur 5th. Still anybody's guess who's going to bring it home here at Daytona, though. Looks like everybody running a single file 1st through 9th, trying to get through the fuel run here. Now I would imagine still that's going to put them a few laps short on fuel at the very end. It'll be interesting to see if we get that late race caution to throw a wrench in things. Because once you have about 10 laps left to go to Super Speedway, all bets are off and everybody's going to absolutely send it out here. You check back in with Matt White, number 48 machine. That gives you a great shot of just how single file this freight train is. Again, that's 1st through 9th, but it looks like Centeni has a big run here. He's starting to catch up rather quickly to the lead pack, accompanied by Levin Longacre. And looks like Kyle Mullering and John Binder in that train as well. They've gained about 4/10 that last time by. So what was a 1st through 9th freight train is going to get some more company here in a very quick moment. Looks like the run stalls out slightly from Centini as now he's about 1.1 seconds back. Longacre not quite on the back bumper of the 79 machines. It looks like they're playing it relatively safe here. As we check back in with the lead pack that's once again going side by side. Here comes Norfleet trying to get the high line working. Howerton looks to maybe think about throwing a block, decides better of it. As MacArthur, the 97 machine, trying to reel back up to Dyer. But look at this as well. Norfleet in the high line has some company nose to tail. If they can make it work, they'll catch up, but they're getting a little bit squirrely there as they cross the start-finish line here at Daytona. And here comes Norfleet trying to put the pressure on Harmon, your race leader. The outside line has a little bit of steam here. Norfleet showing as your race leader. No, it's Harmon again by about 2/100ths of a second on the inside line. They're going to be back and forth for the duration of this run if they keep this momentum up. As now they once again approach lap traffic. Almost look like a modified up in front of them. The front end completely gone. Norfleet with a massive run. Is he going to get clear with Matt White? Are they going to work together here? You can see the damage to the tail end of Norfleet's 98 Ford Mustang. But here comes Harmon, going to try and answer the inside line. He's got a big run. When is Norfleet and White going to get clear? And are they going to leave? I believe that's Kenny Meadows. And the 96 machine also on the high line, who's working quite well. These guys are really linked up, starting to get some speed. They hit speeds at right at 200 miles an hour their last time by. Norfleet drops down the inside line. He's going to leave Matt White on the high line. Kenny Meadows also in the high line, the 96 machine. Here comes White. He's trying to get a big run up at 48. Looks like he could get clear if he wanted to. Yes, he will. So now it'll be Kenny Meadows leading the high side. He's got Brent Wall with him as well. "25 laps left to go for these competitors as they make their way at the start-finish line here at Daytona. It's White on the inside line, Meadows on the high line. You've got Meadows and Norfleet going side by side. Norfleet in the bottom groove. And oh my, they're having to work with some traffic here tonight. as it's still White up front. Meadows trying to figure something out in the high line. He does not have a lot of support from Brent Wall or Howerton, also in the high line, but about 2 cars back from the number 6 machine, who's trying to catch back up there. But now here comes Harmon back in the high line. We know he can run out front as we go briefly 3 wide with traffic. The number 96 of Meadows is going to try and tuck in tow here. And what's Harmon going to do? Will he have the momentum? All of these drivers came in a lap 81. When is the pit cycle going to start for these guys? Oh, traffic going too wide in front of him. Your race leader, number 48 machine, gets into the back of somebody. Hard to tell who White just tagged. Oh, this is not what you want to see with 23 laps left to go. Matt White gave it a hearty shove. The traffic nowhere for the race leaders to go as lapped cars went too wide just ahead of them. That is going to be a hair-raising moment for these drivers. They're going to take a lap to try and collect themselves. As Harmon's dropped back about 3 car lengths to your race leader, Matt White, after having to heavily check up here. But Harmon has the momentum, but the 97 of MacArthur tags the outside wall. That will slow down the run they were having. The mellow yellow machine will have a little bit of damage on that right side after dragging the wall at 180 miles an hour. And Harmon will lose the big run he was looking for. It looks like he was set to get clear going into turns 3 and 4, but it's going to take another couple laps to get back up to speed. But it's been interesting to see over the duration of this race who you're starting to spot can run out front with momentum and who's better served as a pusher with the straight line speed. White shown as your race leader by about 6-7 hundredths of a second as we watch Harmon get a little bit squirrely there. Not sure if he got a bump from the 97 of Ken MacArthur that wasn't quite square, and then has to avoid Dyer, who comes up the track ever so slightly. Now normally we see the shenanigans start about with about 10 laps left to go, 19 laps left to go, and the guys starting to get a little bit antsy out on track. As here comes Harmon and Meadows once more working nose to tail. Trying to work their way up into the lead. Now all these drivers came down pit road together, so in theory they should all have to come down pit road together for the final stop of the race. Harmon and Meadows doing their best that they can with really only a 2-car draft going there. They've got, I believe that's going to be Howerton, the number 51 machine, also in the high line, but he's hanging about 3-4 car lengths. And now Howerton finds himself dropping down the inside line behind the 97 of MacArthur. Going back and forth here, seeing what line is going to serve him best in the 51 machine. Here's a big run from Harmon. Now, I'd assume Harmon's going to try and get set up and come down pit road whenever the other race leaders do. White, Norfolk, Meadows, Howard, and Dyer, MacArthur, Wall, all inside the mix here in the top 8. Less than a half second separating all these drivers. And about a second back, you got Colby Baber. He's running 9th with Davidson, Tenney, Evan, Longacre, all in the fray. Side by side up front, about 3 rows deep. Matt White still showing as your race leader by 0.02 of a second, but Harmon's going to have a big run here, taking the lead, if not for briefly down the backstretch. No, the tri-oval, and yes, Harmon's going to be able to hop down in front of White and take over the race lead. Let's see what Meadows, the 96 machine, can do with the help of Mike Howerton. Bobby Harmon, that's number 73 Chevrolet. He has been absolutely lethal when he can get up front, really carrying some straight line speed with the help of his pushers. And now Kenny Meadows will be stuck in no man's land, trying to get down the bottom line, just unable to do so. Are we going to see the drivers come down pit road this time by to make it till the end on fuel? Or are we going to see some massive fuel saving out of a couple drivers trying out a different strategy here? Stay out for now as you look at Kenny Meadows, not with the with no draft support, trying to side draft Howerton and then Dyer, but he's going to fall ever so slightly back down the standings. Now, not all is lost for Meadows in that 96 machine, working that side draft against Howerton. And now I believe it's going to be MacArthur up there as well. Ooh, a little bit of contact and around goes Meadows in the side of Howerton. They're able to hold on to it, but that will, now they're in trouble. Now the race is all but thrown away for those two drivers. Meadows was really working that side draft, and it just kind of fell apart on him, gave it a little bit too much. And at 200 miles an hour, a couple inches, give or take, happens very, very quickly. So it looks like a 4-car breakaway for the lead. It's Harmon, White, Norfleet, Dyer. And then about a second and a half back to Brent Wall in 5th. I can't believe Meadows and Howerton held on to it there. A great save out of those two. As you can see what a 1.6 second disadvantage it looks like from this lead pack back to 5th place with Brent Wall. Time is rapidly ticking by for these racers. Are we going to see that second pack form up and reel in the race lead? Not a lot of time left to do it, but I'm still expecting one more stop here in the booth from these drivers to make it on fuel. I can't imagine they're going to be able to save that much to make it to the very end here. Scott Stevens comes down pit road for his final stop of the night. Stevens' last pit stop was on lap 31, so that can't be accurate. I don't believe he made it this far in the race. Your top 4 drivers still pulling more distance over Brent Wall in 5th. It's now a 2.3 second gap to the second pack on the raceway. And now the $1 million question, the season opener question is, Will they make it till the end here today on this last fuel run? $11 laps left to go. The top four has a 4.3 second margin over fifth place Brent Wall. This is going to be a white knuckle ride to the very end of it. And we may have a caution here. Not sure how or why. We didn't see any crash reports on our pit lane software, but that is not what you want to see here with 10 laps left to go. The yellow flag flies. Barney, our flagman, putting in work up there in the stand. Interesting. Again, I don't see any reports on the software signifying why the yellow flag would have come out here. But this may be the final chance for these drivers to come down pit road. They'll take 4 tires, I would assume, unless they desperately need the track position and just enough gas to make it till the end here. Well, this is going to be interesting. Let's see, I don't think it's going to put us into green-white checker conditions. A large portion of the field comes down pit road. As Harmon, White, Norfleet, Dyer, Wall, and Baber stay out. Evan Longacre, Mike Howerton, they came in on lap 112, as well as Kenny Meadows. And now the rest of the drivers starting to have a big blink there. Hopefully that doesn't carry into the final restart. As we get it gridded up for what I think will be the final time here tonight. This is going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen. A final shootout to cap off the season opener. The top 5, top 6 drivers have not come down pit road since lap 81. Will they have enough fuel to make it till the end? Using my kind of experience here in the Xfinity cars, I was going to put these guys about 10 laps short. Now, they'll be able to save pretty heavily under yellow flag conditions, but will it be enough to make it to the end under their own power? Or are we going to see things get really shaken up here in the standings? There'll be 6 laps left to go on this restart. As the iRacing safety car makes its way down pit road. Here we go for what could be the final time, ladies and gentlemen. It's Bobby Harmon up front, Matt White joining him on the outside line. Norfleet, Dyer, Wall all in the mix here. Now this is where you see a distinct lack of patience amongst a lot of the drivers, knowing they do not have much time left to make something happen here. Harmon holding on the inside line, but here comes Norfleet. He hops to the high groove. As Dyer looks to make his way around, unable to do so. Norfleet and White with a big run. Norfleet looks to drop down low. White unable to follow him here. Barney watches on in amazement. These guys are putting on a show for you tonight. Ooh, look at the big run from Matt White on the outside. He's got the help of Matthew Dyer. But Norfleet will answer once more on the inside line, linked up with Bobby Harmon's number 73 machine. And then White drops down the inside line, leaving Dyer up there in no man's land. Dyer's linked up with Colby Baber, as well as Mike Howerton, the number 51 machine. Well, what's going to happen here? More to go as your race leaders cross the line. It's now White, Norfleet, Dyer, Harmon, Baber, all in the mix. Oh, a little bit of contact between Dyer and I believe that was Brent Wall. And that it surely will bring out the caution flag once more. Matt Dyer heavily involved in that one. Trying to see if the yellow lights have been thrown. It is not. We're going to keep it green with 3 laps left to go. Wall and Dyer both appear to be out of the race on this one. And now it's going to be time to see if Matt White can bring it home. If the white flag is thrown, we will not have a white checker attempt used tonight. Still anybody's guess inside the top 10 who can bring it home here. This is going to be a mad dash to the finish line. As who's that on the outside line? Is that Longacre, the number 95 machine? Has a massive run. He may have the help of Bobby Harmon, 73. As Longacre and Norfleet go side by side for second. And now Longacre's got the support of Harmon. We know Harmon can run up front. The white flag will be thrown this time by. What's going to happen here? The white flag is thrown for our drivers. And it's White, Norfleet, Longacre, Meadows, Harmon inside the top 5. Still anybody's guess who's going to bring it home. Is that outside line going to have the momentum here at the very end? As Longacre side by side with Norfleet for second. Matt White still has a car link as they make their way down the backstretch for the final time here at Daytona. Bobby Harmon pushing like his life depends on it. The number 73 machine as he gets Longacre up side by side with Matt White, your race leader. They're side by side through turns 3 and 4. It shows White tied by about 1,000th of a second with Longacre. Longacre takes over the lead by a hair of a bumper. They're too wide and about 4 rows deep. Here we go. Longacre shows is about 4/10 ahead. Who's going to be at the line as Matt White tries to answer? It's Evan Longacre, Matt White, and Bobby Harmon at the end as they start tearing up some body work. But what a fantastic finish amongst these drivers here today. Again, it's Longacre, White, and Harmon at the line after one of the best Daytona finishes I think I've called in quite a while. Not a bad way to fire off the season as Evan Longacre breaks a 2-year dry spell. He's been the bridesmaid countless times with 7 second-place finishes, but now it is his turn in the top spot of the booth, and he's going to bring it home at the season opener of the Midwest Sim Racing Association Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals. And Longacre going to burn it down in style in that 95 Chevrolet. Chevrolet finishing first and third with Matt White and his Toyota bringing it home in second. We're going to try and get these drivers up here in victory lane. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the final podium speeches.
What channel is it?
I've just got to do it over this. So I got to interview you and Bobby just over this right here. So Bobby, are you still in here?
10-4.
So I'll start with you. I don't really know what the heck I'm doing, but we'll try it here. So Bobby, overall, what would you say? How did your race go? Like from the start, what was kind of your strategy coming into this?
Strategy coming in was just to lay back, sponsor, and just see what happens. I didn't plan on going until at least half the race.
I gotcha. Towards the end there, when did you think it was go time? If cautions wouldn't have come out, what would have been your "I've got to go" moment?
And to get going.
At the end there, do you think that there was anything else that you think that you could have done?
It's pretty much who's pushing and who's being the person being pushed. So that's kind of out of your hands. It depends on where you're at. So I tried to be the person being pushed because I was at max tape. I had 50% tape the whole race, so I had to try to get up front, and I didn't expect to be up front, even though I was for a certain part of the race, but I'm glad to finish in third.
No, well, what does this do for your expectations or momentum as far as the rest of the season goes, starting out February this way?
Honestly, I didn't know what to think coming in, but I heard good things about this league, Rapid Fire Pizza, and pretty much everybody's pretty cordial. Everybody worked together. I didn't hear any arguing on Discord, and I'm looking forward to the future races.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on a great start to this season. And I want to say thank you to you for pushing me. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to say a shout out to my team, Alien Factory, and I also have a YouTube channel, Nurse Bobby. And thank you again for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to you later, man.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring in our second place finisher, Matt White here. Matt, you got me?
Got a copy there, Evan. How you doing?
Hey, man. So what was your strategy coming into this? What was your game plan for the super speedways?
Game plan is usually, as always, just kind of hold off and wait for everybody to kind of do their thing. I think I started third there and fell to the back and was just holding off until pretty much the last 20 laps or so. Knew there was going to be a bunch of wrecks possible, so we just wanted to make the car clean the whole way there.
Did you ever kind of test out to see what your car could do in the draft, or when did you know that you had a pretty stout machine under you?
In the draft, I mean, I was able to, in a three-car tandem, we were able to pull on the main pack in practice, so that right away I knew when it unloaded off the truck. I mean, it was just bad, fast. So that just kind of set the tone as like I could afford to wait and not have to keep up with the draft. A bunch of us pitted early on that first stage to kind of get us some track position, and that really had benefited overall.
What did you think as far as, a new season, a bunch of new guys up here? What did you think of the racing overall? I mean, granted that we're racing feet from each other at 190 miles an hour, and the majority of us haven't raced together. And we haven't raced together in a long time if we had previously.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew from the guys that raced last year, what to expect. The newer guys, just getting used to what they're able to do with the cars, like you said, at 5 feet away from each other at 190 plus. So just kind of, okay, this guy, he's a little squirrely or not, and just kind of, breathing it out, but also trying to be very smooth on, so at least I was smooth,
I gotcha. So what does this do for your expectations for the rest of the season?
Very good. I mean, I know it's just a plate check, but I've worked hard on the setups over the last couple months, and with the new shock package, I'm looking really forward to getting some of those mile-and-a-halfers and really trying to see what I can do. I know that was a strong point for me last season as well.
No, I mean, you definitely, with mile-and-a-half making up a good bit of this schedule, you're definitely really fast on them. Absolutely waxed the field at Homestead, if I remember correctly. There at the end of that race, do you think that there was anything else that you could have done to try and get the win, or anything different that you could have done in hindsight?
Not really. I mean, I could have pulled up in front of you. That would have probably been the only way to really stop that run, so to speak. And then it would have been on the inside. But I was just kind of like hoping that the bottom was working, because we were doing really well on the bottom there, keeping people back. So it just worked out that way. When me and Robert there, we tried to get back up together, which benefited us for a little bit, but you had a huge run with the 73, so there's really nothing I could do there.
No, well, I had fun racing with you, and I mean, I think that's just it all depends on whether you can get clear and get down to the bottom, or if you're going to stay on the top. The top's going to get the run up off the corner, and it's kind of just a game of luck, really. But I had a blast racing with you. I guess I'm going a little bit off of the interview thing, but I had fun racing with you, and I'm glad you're back for another season, and I appreciate you racing me clean there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't have a scratch on the car. I didn't plan on scratching it afterwards or at the final bit there. I mean, I could have came up and doored you a little bit and side drafted you, but realistically, that wasn't going to be beneficial. All it would have done is broken us up, and I'm not that kind of racer normally, so.
Nah, well, plus, I mean, I know what you're going to do, and, you know, we're buddies. So awesome start to the season, man. Is there anyone you want to shout out or anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, I just want to thank the series here, Rapid Fire. Our team joined to meet here for this season. We put some really good stuff together. I want to shout out to my sponsors, Verpal and CIG or Star Citizen. They're on the cars, so they did a good job, and look forward to next week.
Awesome, man. Well, I look forward to seeing you for the rest of the year, and congratulations to a good start.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Evan, you need somebody to interview you?
I actually do.
I think I can do this. You ready?
Yeah, here we go.
Hey, Evan, you've got this league going. It's been real fun racing in the league last year, this year, and you pulled out a win today. I think that's your first one in a while. How does that feel, man?
I'm really, really excited. It's been a long time coming. A lot of close calls over the last 2 years. Before this, the last race I won was the championship race at Homestead to win the title. So, it's been a while. And to get it first race of the year, right out of the gate, you don't have to worry about the playoffs. You're locked in. It's just a huge weight off of your shoulders, and it just feels good. Really, really good.
So we saw an interesting strategy earlier on. Demead went in and all pitted together, came out, and that paid off a bit for them. What was your strategy going into the race, and how did it kind of play out throughout the race for you?
So with the way the stage being on lap 50, we knew there was no way we could make it all the way to that. So our plan was just to kind of ride in the back, just kind of try and save fuel. We tried to get together and get going pretty quick after we saw that whole team come down and pit, and we were going to try and come in and just put a splash of fuel, 3.4 gallons in the tank, and get out real quick and see what we could do for the stage. Well, that caution came out, and we stayed out, hoping we could make it and just be up at the front. And we had to come in and pit. And there's a train of 3 of us, and I don't know, we finished 20th or something in the stage. So, I think that was the time to experiment and kind of do whatever. But it definitely didn't work out for us in that first bit.
Yeah, I know there was very few cars or very few drivers that kept their car clean. What kind of condition was your car in there in the last part of the race?
Well, other than the bugs on the windshield in the front of it, I think I got a little bit of the 6's bumper, maybe a little paint on the front of it. So, I really want to apologize to Brent there. I kind of touched his bumper trying to come down to draft, and then I hooked him up into the 2. So I want to apologize to those guys. I don't like causing accidents, but I guess it's part of super speedway racing. I've been wrecked plenty of times on these things, but I just want to apologize to those guys. I hate that I did that. But other than the paint off of his bumper and some bugs on the car, I did not have a scratch on it.
Well, I got just a couple last questions for you. We put down 300 miles tonight at Daytona, and now that this race is over, what are your thoughts on the next few weeks coming up, and your guys' game plan for what you got coming up?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good teams this year. There's a lot of teams with a good amount of people. I'm sure more people are going to get picked up and be brought on to some of these other teams, and it's going to be a dogfight, really. It's going to be a battle of, really some powerhouse groups. There's several teams with 4 or 5 drivers, cars on them. So, it's going to be exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of guys going to have a shot to win races, and, not just where the stars have to align for somebody to win. I think that, there's a lot of guys that just have the outright speed and the setups underneath the cars to get it done. I guess just because of the R&D that, having several guys on your team, what you can accomplish. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. It's awesome to be doing this on Thursday nights with everybody here. I'm really excited for the rest of the season.
Awesome. Last question. So everybody's going to be watching on YouTube. This thing's being broadcast. You guys did a heck of a job. And so this could only happen because we had some great sponsors this year. Why don't you just take a second to tell us about the sponsors and tell everybody watching about the great sponsors that are sponsoring our league this year.
No, I gotta thank Rapid Fire Pizza. It's the restaurant that I have, it's on my car. I sponsored the league with it, so thanks to Rapid Fire Pizza for being on there. I gotta thank Barry Stevens and David Santini for being on Old School Ninjas. They're the other presenting sponsor of this league, so I really appreciate those guys helping out and doing what they do. Great group over there. And, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of others that are going to, kind of pique their interest maybe about hopping on and potentially sponsoring. So, it's something fun to do, something fun to have your brand out there, something that is special to you to have it on your car or whatever. So, no, can't thank Rapid Fire and OS and Old School Ninjas enough.
Awesome. And Evan, congratulations on your win. Everybody, thanks for watching us here at the Rapid Fire Pizza Daytona 300 race here. And everybody had a blast. Evan came out with the win. You heard from all the top three. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next race.